featuring the Amulet Titan deck in Modern, but continues to put up results across multiple formats with multiple decks.
Yeah, an open champion with Amulet Titan.
Also, I believe won an MCQ or something of that nature very soon after that open win.
Yep. We previously saw him with the runner-up finish in a team open once upon a time. Match underway here. Soorani leading with Snow-Covered Island.
Why'd you have to? He beat me, or they beat my team in that event. Now I'm mad.
You should just win.
Yeah, I won my match. So.
Glacial Fortress, no action on 2 for Soorani. For Pulliam, it's an attempt at a Chalice on 1 off of Cascade Bluffs.
Now, to be clear, the Chalice of the Void does shut down a number of cards in Shaheen's deck, but his iteration is not really that focused on one-mana cards, and a lot of those one-mana cards actually get brick-walled by just no creatures from the opposing side. 4 of them are Path to Exile, right? So they're just going to be mostly useless in the matchup anyway.
Bit of a tempo play for Soorani. Turn 3 to Fairy Time Raveler is just going to bounce that Chalice and draw a card.
Now, if you look on Cardboard Live, you'll see exactly how many one-mana spells are in his deck. Oust, there's a 1 of. Path to Exile, there's 4 of. Those are the big ones, right? But they're mostly useless here. And then 2 Spell Snare, 1 Surgical Extraction, and 4 Opt, and that's it. So Chalice of the Void is good, but it's not that good.
So this is an interesting development as we go to Pulliam's turn. Welding Jar, Mox Opal, Chalice deployed on 0, so you can use the Opal to cast a Narset Parter of Veils.
Okay. I can dig it.
Puts that to 3, finds a Snaring Bridge.
I'm curious how Pulliam actually plans to physically win the game in this particular matchup. I feel like Shaheen has a lot of these tools that go over the top of Chalice of the Void, over the top of Bridge from Snaring Bridge. I gotta think that Shaheen is just naturally favored in this matchup.
Over on Shaheen's side of things, 4th land is Field of Ruin. Now has Cryptic Command mana online. Ticks Teferi up to 2. One element of Pulliam's list, he does have that Teferi's Puzzle Box, 1 copy there, that combines with the Narset.
No, for sure. He doesn't have something like Teferi Time Raveler to 100% lock the opponent. So if he has something like Cryptic Command in his hand, he can always bounce the Puzzle Box with, or the Narset with the Puzzle Box trigger on the stack. So he doesn't lose his entire hand.
You see some 1-mana spells going through Shaheen's hand. Some of the white mana removal spells, those are whatever. But there is an Opt that is now freed up. Notably that Chalice on 0 not doing anything against Shaheen.
Yeah, Shaheen really tanking on whether or not to deploy Jace the Mind Sculptor while the shields are down for Pulliam. Ultimately deciding to hold up Cryptic Command here instead.
And we'll see what Pulliam can do as we are back to his turn. Didn't have the 3rd land on the previous turn. That's why you saw the Chalice on 0 to turn on the Mox Opal. He's going to minus the Narset down to 1 to take another look. See some more Chalices among the cards. He's going to pick one of those up.
Chalice on 2 would be a bit interesting if he has the land.
He does have the land. Here's a Blast Zone. Looks like Crucible of Worlds among the cards in hand.
Yeah, a couple of decent options here for the Prison deck. But gonna hard cast Simian Spirit Guide. Honestly, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think honestly this might require an answer from Shaheen in some way or another. Cryptic Command to counter draw card would be okay. But those 1-mana removal spells are unlocked, and the Simian Spirit Guide actually allows his Timely Reinforcements in hand to generate an extra card, or generate 1/1s.
Yeah, Simian Spirit Guide, definitely not one of the more impressive things to play. And notably, Shaheen is under a Teferi Plus, so we can end step the Timely. You see them do that here.
Yeah, and it has to feel good to be able to put 3 of your own token on the battlefield.
Yeah, do that now and again with the treasure map, so I can tell you it does.
Yeah. So Shaheen here also going to be casting the Opt. Narset only works as a way to stop your opponent from drawing more than 1 card each turn, so stuff like Opt can be cast during your opponent's turn for full value and not get locked down.
Back to Soorani. It's an oust on the Spirit Guide. Ugh. That is ugly. Cannot feel good about that if you're Pulliam.
Yeah, going to gain some life, but not a huge deal in this case. And then Shaheen going to swing on through with these 1/1s, knocking off the Narset, making sure that the draw ability doesn't really affect him much. And here, if he wants, he can deploy Jace the Mind Sculptor or continue holding up Cryptic Command. If I'm him, I think I hold up Cryptic Command because you're in a pretty good spot here.
So he's shocked for Hallowed Fountain down to 18. He's going to play the Jace.
It's a fine line as well. Not a whole lot can go wrong next turn. Pulliam a little light on mana. Shaheen knows about Ensnaring Bridge as one of the 3 cards in hand, and they know Deckless, and he knows that there's not a whole lot that William can really do next turn to punish him.
Jace will Brainstorm, and Soorani will pass. See if Pulliam can do something a little bit better than casting a 2/2.
So Crucible Words here, doesn't do a whole lot. There's no land in the graveyard. Ensnaring Bridge has so many cards in hand, can't keep the 1/1s from attacking. It might be good to just go ahead and get one of those expensive cards out of your hand, though. But Bridge from Below Ensnaring Bridge is never going to be a huge factor against Azorius control, namely because they don't have that many creatures. And if they ever do have creatures, they have Cryptic Command to bounce it for that one crucial turn.
In this matchup, yeah, Pulliam doesn't even want to try to navigate it. This is a harder pull for him, and he's going to concede from here. She and Soorani quickly up a game against Will Pulliam. And it gets worse for Brier, Pulliam, Stanley, as Corey Baumeister also quickly won game number 1 in that Jund Dinosaurs mirror in the standard seat.
I just gained a completely newfound respect for Will Pulliam. That is an aggressive concession. I love it. He knows he's dead. He knows he's trying not to waste everybody's time.
It was an efficient concession.
Yeah.
Anyone that can concede that early in untimed rounds, I appreciate them as a human being.
Right.
I was
going to give him a hug in a little bit.
Watching a match earlier today. Some players were talking to each other on their team, trying to bluff something with 3 lands in hand. Miss me with that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, sometimes I think it's
game.
okay. As long as that little interaction takes less than 5 seconds, I'm completely fine with it.
It did not.
Yeah, of course.
It did not. Player's going to look over deck lists, of course, open deck lists in the top 8. They're going to look at sideboards options for the opponent, and we'll look at sideboard options for both players. We'll start with Shaheen Soorani, the Azorius control side of things. He has 3 Rest in Peace, 2 Geist of Saint Traft, 2 Dovin's Veto, 2 Celestial Purge, a Wrath of God, a Timely Reinforcements, a Stony Silence, a Lyra Dawnbringer, a Disdainful Stroke, and a Ceremonious Rejection.
All right, so Rest in Peace, not super decent here. Pulliam has very little in the way of graveyard recursion. Geist of Saint Traft is actually a great way to close games. You know, Shaheen brings Geist of Saint Traft in against decks that don't have a lot of blockers or a lot of ways to sweep it off the battlefield with like Anger of the Gods and such. So I think Geist of Saint Traft comes in here as a way to close the game and really kind of tempo your opponent out with those cheap counter spells like Spell Snare and Dovin's Veto. Speaking of Dovin's Veto, I think that's definitely coming in. It just tags basically every card in Will Pulliam's deck. Celestial Purge, this is a mono blue deck with some Simian Spirit Guides. I don't think you want Celestial Purge just for Simian Spirit Guide. Wrath of God, these removal spells not really all that efficient, but I wouldn't mind one of Wrath of God and maybe one of Supreme Verdict or something like that to stay in the deck and get all of the spot removal out, because sometimes you need to sweep up a side Master Thopterus and all the tokens. And the sideboard plan that Pulliam has featuring Urza Lord High Artificer might actually be a little tough for Shaheen to deal with, but a Wrath of God can handle that cleanly. Time Reinforcement should be coming out of the deck, so I don't want that one. Stony Silence is pretty good. Ceremonious Rejection is pretty good. That's about it.
All right, on the Pulliam side, we have Defense Grid, Grafdigger's Cage, Psy Master Thopterus, Torpor Orb, 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Sorcerer's Spyglass, 3 Spellskites, 3 Urzas, and a Damping Sphere.
Notably, if you look at Shaheen's sideboard, there's not a whole lot in the way of artifact removal. So something like Spellskite here is not going to be that good, but I do like Urza Lord High Artificer as kind of a pivot card that you can really lean on in sideboard games when your opponent is trying to slim their deck of removal. Sorcerer's Spyglass can name those Planeswalkers. Sidemaster Thopterus comes at them from a different angle, and Defense Grid can play a really good game against as like an anti-control card. So I like bringing most of those cards in.
If if you're extremely online like Todd and myself, you've started to see some art coming up from the new set, Thrones of Eldraine.
It's the first panel of Lost.
This is the weirdest take on Lost I've ever seen. No, what this is the Bombs Awry playmat we're going to have for pre-releases for Thrones of Eldraine. Nick Miller had a really good tweet about that. Eldraine, of course, being Spanish for the drain.
The drain.
But you can ask your local game store if you're looking to get one of these mats, the Bombs Awry playmat, and go to go.starskygames.com/pre-release to find a location near you that does offer this exclusive playmat from the Creature Collection.
That is a nice playmat.
I dig it.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's evocative of Dr. Strangelove, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah. I just wanted to spell it out. Maybe some fans have not seen the film, even though it came out, 60 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago, was it? Came out in the 70s?
That was just a number. It's been a long time.
It was in black and white, but it was in black and white at a time where it could have been in color.
Yes,
it was a lot like
something in the realm of 40 years.
It was like Bride of Frankenstein type
It's
stuff.
many decades.
Yeah, of course.
The movie is older than you and I.
Yeah, we are many decades old. Combined, we are an actual old person.
Yeah, combined, we're older than Dr. Strangelove.
Nice.
I'm hearing from director Rob, 1964, the release date.
Well, actually, you were right.
That's pushing, yeah.
That 55 years ago? Is my math right on that one?
That checks out. Whew. We'll have to double check with Matthias. He's the math guy, but I believe it to be 55.
Yeah, also, he's the oldest guy, so he's probably starring in it.
He saw it in theaters.
He was the babby. There was a babby in there somewhere. And now to take a nice cool sip of lemonade.
I think that we are approaching the point where Pulliam and Soorani have spent more time sideboarding than they did playing Game 1.
Yeah, I think they crossed that line about Dr. Strangelove ago. I think Shaheen is curious about maybe a handwriting type issue or something. Can't really see the. I don't know.
Might need an Oracle text.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Maybe on Defense Grid to see if it works both ways or something.
Yeah, there's some wonky ones in these prison decks.
Yeah.
Another update from the Legacy table this time. Peter Ingram up a game over Aiden Brier, so we have 3 games on the left already.
Yeah, that's really good news for Ingram, Soorani, and Baumeister. All 3 up a game here going into post-sideboard. See if 2 of them can take it down, send them all the way to the top 4. I don't know what else to say. I ran out of things to talk about. Dr. Strangelove was my bottom. The well is empty.
That's it.
I mean, I could talk about some inappropriate things, but...
Okay, I'll try to rein you in here.
All right, how about just...
well, it's on the topic of old movies.
There we go.
I've been thinking about the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey a lot lately.
We passed that one a long time ago.
Yeah. It had its 50th anniversary within the last year. That's Stanley Kubrick. And they re-released it in theaters. And so I went and I watched it in a theater because I figured you don't often get an opportunity to do something like that. And if you haven't seen the movie, or if you've only watched it at home, you don't fully appreciate how grating every part of it is.
Sure.
The entire time I was sitting there just wondering just the exact question, how is this a movie?
Well, it's more of like a collection of short stories, right?
Kind of. There is a through plot that kind of goes throughout, but yeah, there's different eras and things are happening that aren't necessarily connected.
Am I gonna get like yelled at if I say that I've never sat down and watched it before? I mean, like almost all the references to it. But
someone's gonna yell at you, not me.
Sure.
I'm cool with that. The thing about it, if you watch it at home, there's multiple points where there's this music that's not very good that is very loud.
Sure.
And you can turn it down if you're at home, but if you're at the movie theater, you can't. And they're long sequences.
Sure.
It's just like blasting at you.
I have a really, really good reference to 2001 that I made as a joke a couple months back, and I'm gonna send it to our director, see if we can get it on screen at some point. But I'm gonna look for just a second. Give me a moment. So Phil, I'm doing something.
Well, players are approaching the 3x sideboarding to playing time as they consult with their teammates about how exactly they're going to configure things here. To be fair, this build of Mono Blue position from Pulliam, it's not exactly like builds we've seen before. Narset Putter Avails a big upgrade. The Simian Spirit Guide, Chalice of the Void package. That's a little bit off the rails. Of course, Soorani's been playing the same 75 cards for the past 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, he actually cut the black this week for some reason.
He still got surgicals, so it's close enough.
All right, both players here just still shuffling and mulliganing and wasting my time.
We're going to race. We're going to see if you can find this meme before Soorani's done
there.
pile shuffling.
I'm back to April already, so, you know.
Oh, jeez. They're going deep down the rabbit hole.
Has to do with like a hooting mandrill. Oh, man. I just don't remember the text. Otherwise, this would be a lot easier to find. I've been having a lot of fun using the like Photoshop editor, the like free one you can get on your phone.
Oh, sure.
Oh, my God. I'm back in February now. And these players are still not ready. Are you kidding me? Look, the moment they're ready, I'm going to put it down. But until then, I'm going to keep trying to find this picture because it's nice.
It's compelling content.
What do you want from me?
One thing I want to say about the Legacy seat. I watched some of Harlan Fear's matches this weekend. He's playing a version of 4-color control featuring Tarmogoyf.
Okay.
Tarmogoyf has looked really well positioned in Legacy. And I feel like this Is It Delver deck that Brier is playing might be seeing that one pushed out of the metagame.
Yeah, for sure. I just think Tarmogoyf, like you said, is in a really great place. And splashing for Wrenn and 6 seems like a no-brainer. And because you do that, you actually get a more efficient threat in Tarmogoyf. And you just get, more creatures that are harder to kill and cheap, and that's exactly what you want in Legacy.
I hope we see people start playing Submerge again.
That'd be tight. I'd be into it.
Love me some Submerge.
Okay, apparently this happened. I tweeted this a way longer ago than I thought, because I am currently in January, and I still haven't found it. And looky here, they still haven't started, so,
Passage of time becomes very strange when you get to be in your late 20s.
They've been sideboarding and mulliganing for 14 minutes.
It's less than that.
Okay.
It's like 10 minutes.
13 minutes. The best part about this is I keep seeing replay memes. Oh, I found it. Hold on. Or I found one of them. There's two. I'm gonna send them both to our director Rob, and then, when they're done, when they're shuffling up for game 3 for another 20 minutes, then we'll post them on the screen for you.
It's like Pulliam taking a mulligan for game number 2. Joke a little bit sometimes about these Searing Bridge decks wanting the mulligan, but this is a matchup where the bridge is no good. This is going to hurt Pulliam here. I believe Soorani is kept on 7.
All right, I found them. I found them both. Hopefully he can get them on screen for you. I mean, if they mulligan again, we might have time to get them on before. That is one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, is the London Mulligan kind of incentivizes mulligans to some extent,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but being forced to keep a bad hand feels terrible.
No, that's fair. I think that there are some archetypes that have the ability to abuse it that I'm not the hugest fan of. It was one of the reasons why I was not a huge fan of the London Mulligan at the beginning, but the more I play with it in Standard and limited, and even to an extent with the fair modern decks, the more I think it's fine.
I enjoy playing it with the unfair modern decks because I'm more likely to do my thing. But Pulliam now in a mulligan to 5.
Well, he's only going to 5? I thought he was going to 2 or something.
This better be a 1-card hand.
Oh, jeez, man. All right, so about those pictures. We're working on it. It's going to be a second.
It's been a notable dearth in memes on coverage this weekend. Let's try to crank those numbers up.
Yeah, we have director Dan in the booth as well. Dan is the king of the memes.
Dan loves a meme.
He's a regular. Whenever we're doing Versus Live, every now and then he'll like Photoshop together a little 1-2 punch based on the decks we're playing and stuff, or whatever we're referencing.
We're hanging out at the karaoke bar Friday night. Director Dan
Thanks for the invite.
sang a Motley Crue song, which is hard to appreciate unironically, but it was a good time.
I mean, I don't know what you got against Motley Crue, but
in high school I listened to them unironically.
Look, we both had old dads.
That is
Made us
true.
listen to
I still have an old dad.
Classic rock. Motley Crue somehow fitting somewhere in classic rock, even though they were a band about the same time I was born.
My dad more listened to CCR. That's a callback. Telaria West. Pulliam has finally kept a hand. 5 cards. Snow-covered island for Soorani. Cascade Bluff. Simian Spirit Guide. Not casting it this time. Here's a Narset.
That's a pretty good one here on turn 2. It's going to potentially recoup some of that lost card advantage from the Mulligans. And he's also casting it off the Spear Guide, though, so he is sacrificing one of those precious resources.
Opt in response for Soorani, looking for a Force of Negation.
Yeah, even if it sticks, though, it's not that bad. With Pulliam on so few raw resources, the static effect is going to be more important here, I think, than anything else, because the static shuts down stuff like Jason Mind Sculptor and Teferi here of Dominaria pluses.
Ops cries to the bottom. Narset resolves. Pulliam's going to take a look at 4 cards here. Believe looking at grabbing Mishra's Bobble, and that is the take. Really firing on all cylinders. Two bobbles.
Could be anything. Could even be more bobbles.
Pulliam thinking about whether he wants to take a look at any cards. He will go ahead and look at the top card of Soorani's library.
Now, one thing he could have done is with Mishra's Bobble, he could have actually targeted himself first. And if he saw Psy, Master Thopterus on top, maybe you don't deploy the second one just yet, because maybe you need that extra 1/1 token. But here, Pulliam just going full-blown Mishra's Bobble mode, looking for something to do here on turn 3.
So he looked at Soorani's draw step in Soorani's upkeep, and then later looked at the top card of Soorani's deck. Drew both cards for bobbles on his own turn. Meanwhile, Soorani shocked for a Hallowed Fountain. Now Pulliam hits his 3rd land. It's a snow-covered island, and casts a Sorceress Spyglass.
I would imagine that Soorani fires off a Mana Leak on this to protect one of his Planeswalkers, but he could just not care about it.
Yeah, the Azorius deck does have a number of ways just to get the Spyglass off the table.
Okay, so we see exactly, and he did leave in the Supreme Verdict to deal with Psy Master Thopterus. And I don't know if he brought in the Wrath of God, but I do want to note that that is the case.
So we're looking at a hand of Geist of St. Traff, Snapcaster Mage, Mana Leak, 2nd Snapcaster Mage, Supreme Verdict, Hallowed Fountain, and Field of Ruin. This one is not vulnerable to Spyglass.
Right, and that's why he let it resolve. His plan here, I think, is just to go full-on beatdowns. He's going to go end of turn Snapcaster Mage, untap, play Geist of St. Traff, attack for 2. Not clear if he wants to attack Narset or not. I guess it depends on whether Pulliam minuses or not.
You're hard set on deploying the 2/1 Snapcaster here?
Yeah, I don't think people ambush Viper nearly enough. Pulliam's on so few cards. You have a backup Snapcaster. You have Geist of St. Traff to start chunking in.
And with the Narset going down to 1 here, there is a strong incentive for that. I definitely agree.
Yeah, the odds of you getting full value out of 2 Snapcaster Mages in this particular game that's going to almost assuredly revolve around Geist of St. Traff is very low.
2 Snapcaster Mage in this economy? Another Mishra's Bobble for Pulliam. Found off the Narset. The name on the Spyglass was Jason Mind Sculptor.
All right, we're going to get aggressive here. Shaheen's going to go ahead and play that Snapcaster Mage. If I'm Shaheen, I might not even care about the Narset at this point. The Jason Mind Sculptor is already locked down, and his hand is just super aggressive. And a lot of times he can just draw card draw spells or cast card draw spells on his opponent's turn, doesn't really affect him too much. Corey wants him to slam it. You can see Corey just like, slam it, slam it. Shaheen ain't never tapped out in his life.
Snapcaster Mage attacks down the Narset.
There's no better time. Your opponent has nothing.
Yeah, Shaheen's just not casting the Geist, and his draw step wasn't Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Now, he's going to go for a Snapcaster Opt here, end of turn, and then he's just going to hold up Mana Leak till the end of time.
Coward's play.
And that's fine. It's a reasonable line to take. But if you're going to sideboard in Geist of St. Trapped, just cast it. Your opponent will probably die.
Let's see if Brier can do anything. He's playing into a Mana Leak he knows about. Plays land number 4, Gaia Reach Sanitarium. That's a combo with Narset, but Narset's down.
Looks like he has a Chalice of the Void. He can go for X equals 1 if he wants and lock out further ops and Snapcaster ops and things like that. A second Spyglass is going to be the play, though.
Now he gets to see that Jace the Mind Sculptor that's already turned off.
I don't know how close you were paying attention to Shaheen's face when he drew the Jace the Mind Sculptor, but it was the equivalent of an eye roll.
He looked dissatisfied. We do have a backup from one of our off-camera features. Our 6th seed, Nigel Riley Mason, they won 2-0 over Cruz Stillman Capstick. Bomberman lives on.
Yeah. It's no longer a meme. It's in the top 4 of a team open. Now, what do you name here if you're Will Pulliam with this Sorcerer Spyglass? You have Jason Mind Sculptor locked down. Do you just name Field of Ruin? Keep the...
I have an answer for you.
Sure.
Teferi Hero of Dominaria. That's
Cool.
the official name.
All right.
Snapcaster Mage for Soorani is going to flash back that op, scries to the bottom. Or maybe not. No, he does. And he'll draw.
He's
Pulliam,
just never going to cast it.
Pulliam held off on that Chalice. So now we see both Snapcaster Mages attack. Pulliam to 16. Is he going to wait until he has 5 mana to cast the Geist?
Yes.
So you're going to wait until the game is over to cast the Geist?
My point exactly, Ryan. We're just like two brothers.
Tapped, Hallowed Fountain, go.
We're just two brothers.
Back to Pulliam. We know about a Chalice of the Void scattered in his hand.
All right, 4 mana here. Probably going to be a Chalice for 2.
An emphatic Chalice for 2.
Yep.
And it gets mana leaked, of course. Can't take that one with you.
He's going to be attacking Pulliam down to 12 this turn and likely playing a Geist of St. Traft. But the shields are basically down at this point.
Attack for 4, Pulliam to 12. Now we see a Field of Ruin activation.
Oh, okay.
On the Cascade Bluffs. Searches up a snow-covered island for himself. Pulliam will do the same.
Doesn't really shut Pulliam off of red, but if he finds another Field of Ruin, there's a small chance Pulliam actually brought in Pyroclasm as a way to deal with Geist of St. Traft. And he still has access to red mana right now, so if he has a Pyroclasm as one of his last few cards here, or draws one off the top, he may be able to get himself back in this game.
Trying to play Snow-Covered Plains, and there's the Geist of St. Traft. Just in time to walk into that Pyroclasm you're wondering about. Though he might have picked up a Force of Negation to block it, unclear.
His hand did not seem particularly good as far as I recall. Obviously, Jason Mind Sculptor is great, but it is currently locked down from the Sorcerer Spyglass.
Pulliam activates Gaia Reach Sanitarium main phase. Does not look happy with the hand after drawing. Soorani looks ready to discard that Jace the Mind Sculptor, though.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to worry about trying to get the Sorcerer Spyglass off the battlefield. He has Cryptic Command at the ready. Pulliam's going to need a miracle to get out of this one. Unless he has Pyroclasm right now, that Cryptic Command should lock the door.
And his back is against the wall because Peter Ingram did defeat Aiden Brier 2-0.
right? So this could be the deciding game of the match. Shaheen untapping here, getting his Angel token ready. He's going to come across for 10 points of damage.
There's
Boom.
the attack for 10, Pulliam to 2. And we just have Cryptic Command up. I don't know what Pulliam can do here.
Look, the last time I said a game was over, I got yelled at. So I'm just going to say this game is probably donezo. Tap Spire Bluff Canal.
That's not going to do it. See a pass, see if Soorani can figure out how to attack with creatures. He's shown hesitation in doing so. All right, here's a Whir of Invention, but just a concession.
Oh.
Cryptic Command's going to catch that.
Yeah.
Ingram, Soorani, Baumeister. 5-game sweep over Brier, Pulliam, Stanley. They'll advance to the top 4.
Yeah, really impressive stuff there from Shaheen's Azorius deck. Pulliam's deck is not really capable of fighting the Azorius control deck on the correct levels. It's more of a